Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pominville. I'm your arts reporter. We've been doing a lot of different arts this year, but December is the month for music. And I have a fabulous musician sitting here by me, someone I've admired for many years. And it is Sarah Bertsch. So welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I just love when I can hear you play your violin. And I know you're a string instructor, but before we get to that, let's go back a little bit. How did you start playing the violin and get into music?
Well, my grandmother was a piano teacher. And I remember being very, very tiny and playing with toys underneath her concert grand piano with this gigantic instrument, and always thinking how neat it would be to play. So piano was the first thing that I tried, and that was all because of my grandma. And she taught me how to read music and how to count and how to play, just that foundational piano skill. And then it was the summer before I went into first grade, and my mom asked me one day, "Would you like to try playing the violin?" And I, sure, okay. So it was really this kind of maternal influence or matriarchal influence in my life from my grandmother and then my mother, who was a singer and a pianist. So it's really a nice family treasure to have music as something in common.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I've always understood music in a context of sharing it with other people. When I was very little, my mom would take me to nursing homes, and I was of course very tiny, and so she would take me and sit me on top of the piano. You know, they were the upright pianos, so I'd be sitting on top of the piano so that people could see me, and she would play and I would sing, and then eventually I would bring my violin and play that. So I've always understood music in the context of sharing it with other people.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. Now, You were in first grade? I've never heard of anyone starting so young. Is that kind of a different method, or am I mixed up?
No, well, there is a method of study that starts very, very young.
Oh, right.
That's called the Suzuki method.
Yes, of course.
And I actually did not start in the Suzuki method. I had such a foundational background in note reading from my grandma when I was very, very young that I knew how to read music, I knew how to count, so I learned in a very traditional fashion. And that's how I teach as well, in a traditional fashion, just really stressing note reading and counting and intonation, from right off the bat. And for that reason, I don't specialize in teaching very, very young children. But it's, that's just the way that I teach. That's my skill, so.
Well, when I was teaching piano, the Suzuki thing came in.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little more traditional, I have to say. But I did admire it when I saw those young children playing so beautifully.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, it was all over the news and everything.
Mm-hmm,
But I failed at the violin, I can tell you that. That was a tough, tough go for me. I was too old for one thing. I mean, senior in high school, you don't start a violin. I mean,
Oh,
really.
you would be surprised.
Oh, well, no, it didn't go well
Not
for me.
for you.
But-
Not for you.
But I had a grandfather, that played violin.
Oh, wonderful.
And I would even say, coming from Norway, it was in my family.
Wow.
But I never did get to it till too late. So I've always admired people that can play the violin. So now I know you through teaching at the FIP Center.
Yes.
So tell us about your job there.
I teach private violin lessons at the Phipps Center for the Arts in Hudson. And it's really a wonderful place to teach because I feel like I'm really a part of a community of people that value the arts. It's great because my families will drop off their student for a lesson and then they'll go and wander through the art galleries or perhaps take another one of their children to a dance class or something like that, so it's very convenient for them. But I do really appreciate being affiliated with such a professional, well-established arts center. And it's really a gem of a resource in our community.
It is. I'm very much enjoying that center.
Yeah.
Through the music council and choirs, and mostly choirs, but the concerts that are presented and the lessons that are offered. And I love the art galleries too. I really do. And my husband taught art, so I'm kind of into that too. But
You are the well-rounded artist.
so, like, say, in a week, how many students do you have there? I'm just curious. I don't know.
I teach between 20 and 25 students every week. It kind of fluctuates depending on people's schedules. And my lessons are either 30 minutes or 45 minutes, depending on whether the student is a beginner or more advanced.
Yes.
And they're private lessons, one-on-one.
I have to ask you, what's the best time then to start violin lessons?
That's a really good question.
I've always wondered.
It's very different for each person. And some children have a high degree of physical coordination and mental focus very early, and others simply do not. So you can take one student and have them start at age 7. And you can have another student who starts at age 9. But really, by the time they're both, say, maybe 11, they might be at a very similar level of progress simply because that's,
Really?
Brains develop differently, physical capability develops differently. And also, it makes a big difference if the student is wholeheartedly committed to violin as one of his or her priorities, or maybe it's just one
Yes.
activity of many in their lives. And I really try to affirm wherever my students are with music, with violin. And I think I became a much better teacher when at some point I realized I am teaching violin, but I am also given this extraordinary opportunity to be with a student, usually a young person, for 30 or 45 minutes every week, and I can have an impact on them as a person, not just as a violinist. And so I really try to have my students leave my studio feeling better about themselves than they did when they came in.
Oh, that's so
And
neat that you
sometimes-
do that.
Well, sometimes that has a lot to do with music, and sometimes it really doesn't.
Well, you know, there's horror stories about piano teachers who have, you know, really turned a few children off.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that is beautiful that you can find something in almost every student and then you can nurture that.
Yeah,
I love it.
it creates a very nice relationship between me and my students.
Yes.
They know that I respect them as individuals, as people, and I'm
wonderful.
interested in the context of their lives, not just the context of violin in their life. So,
Now, you're also a performer. So tell me about that. And I think you have a group of string people.
yes, I have a music contracting business called Strings by Sarah.
Oh, that's perfect.
And I contract solo and ensembles for special events, weddings, celebrations, church services, that kind of thing. So I play by myself as a soloist. I have colleagues that join me in duos, trios, quartets. Sometimes I play with a pianist. So it's a really nice variety of music that we play, and the great thing is not only the music, but it's the friendships that are formed with my colleagues. This is a set of 2 French carols, Pas de Pain and Noël Nouvelette.
Oh boy, what fun to play with people of your caliber. And then to do different events. Do you know, I actually have been asked to recommend a group several times.
Oh,
And I honestly did not know about this.
well, now you do.
I don't know why I was in the dark. I really have to get more information on that. So I'll just say if anybody wants to, they can contact
Oh,
me.
absolutely.
Right. So, and then, what is this? One time you told me, I have to ask you about this. I had never heard of this. You play electric violin.
Oh, I do. Yes, I have an electric
Tell
violin.
me about that.
I have an electric violin, and I also have a little microphone that I use on my acoustic violin for
Really?
amplification purposes. I actually play in a little group with my husband who plays bass, and another
wonderful.
yeah, another couple who cover piano and voice, and then we have a percussion player. And the group plays a lot of jazz and ethnic styles from other cultures, a lot of contemporary things, as well as classical. But when one is playing with other amplified instruments like guitar or bass or percussion, the violin just needs a little bit of help with the volume. So that's how
For
how
sure.
the
I
electric
could
violin.
totally understand. Now, is it the same color, or do you have like a funky color, or what is it?
I do not have a funky color. It looks
it's brown.
It looks somewhat similar to a regular violin, only it's a little bit more contemporary in shape.
Oh boy.
But really, I decided to get one that was a little more conservative looking, simply because some of the places that I play are a little bit more conservative.
Of
So
course, yes.
I want to be able to fit in.
Totally get it, but oh my, I'd love to hear that sometime. I don't know, it just sounds so neat for me. I got to visit some of your performances more, and sometime let me know.
I will.
So, do you have anything to share with us about your experiences with performing? I mean, is there anything you want to share with us? I'm kind of thinking of things extemporaneously here.
With performing. Well, recently I played at an event that was kind of a corporate gala, raising money for a certain health awareness kind of thing. So I really enjoy being part of things that sort of have a purpose, so that my music kind of fits into a bigger picture. So it's not always just about the performance and me. I like to have my music be in the context of the event, and I like to feel that I'm supporting the couple who's getting married if I'm playing for their wedding, or that I am excited about the purpose of the event, or that kind of thing. And certainly that's true playing in, say, like worship settings.
Right.
I like to be a part of that. That's a lot of my background in music. So I'm very blessed that even here in Hudson, there is fabulous music in many places of worship, and so it's really great for me to be a part of that here in my own hometown.
Well, I know you've been at my church many times, and it's been such a delight to have the strings with us and the vocals. They go so beautifully together.
Yes, I would absolutely agree. And I have to say that many times when I'm performing, I think of myself as communicating musically. So in a way, I'm singing, but not with my voice. It's really my violin that is making that expression.
Yes, that's right. In fact, I was always taught that the soprano voice is a lot like a violin.
Oh, sure.
And then the other stringed instruments going down, the same, like viola, cello, bass. Oh, strings are just something I love. Something I can really enjoy every day. Just put in a CD and whatever.
The violin in particular seems to have a kind of an emotional sound for people.
Oh, it does. It does. Some of those solos and some of those, even the sonatas and the concertos are just beautiful. So, you gave us some great insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh boy, now I'm going to change the subject because this is something you sort of brought this out and told me the other day, sent me something about acupressure with animals.
Yes.
I've never heard of it.
Well, acupressure is very similar to acupuncture. Both of those practices are a part of traditional Chinese medicine. And they are holistic healing modalities. I do acupressure with animals. It's based on the same science as acupuncture with needles, but I don't use needles with animals. I just use light touch on specific acupressure points on the body, and those points influence the qi or energy in the body to help the animal find better physical, emotional balance.
That's amazing.
It's really very rewarding work, because even though an animal cannot communicate with words, it's very obvious when an animal is experiencing comfort or relief or relaxation, being able to release stress. Because actually a lot of animals are very connected to humans and take on a lot of stress from their humans. So it can make a significant impact on their health, not only physically but also mentally. So
I totally agree from viewing dogs. I mean, I mostly had dogs in my life, and it's just amazing how they support you.
True.
And they kind of pick up on your mood and your vibes.
Absolutely.
And so I saw a couple pictures on this site. Could we, maybe we can put this site on the bottom of our screen.
Oh, sure. Optimal
so people
animals.
could look at it?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
I think that is just marvelous that you do that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the name of the business.
What a beautiful thing to strive for, to make an animal's life better.
Oh, yes. It's very rewarding. I work primarily with dogs and cats and horses, but I also work on other animals as well. And so the name of my business is Optimal Animals.
That's just beautiful. I'm so glad you told me about that. Well,
I can make a little bit of a connection between that work and my music.
okay.
I think it's just kind of a fascinating thing. Acupressure with animals and violin are both ways of in which I connect with other people through my hands and
true.
through nonverbal communication.
Yes.
So I've found that these two parts of my life actually interact more than I might have expected.
That is absolutely wonderful. I just admire you again so
thank
much
you.
for going into that particular area.
This is a set of Silver Bells and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
I love the ones you chose.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is just a delight for me. And I want to thank our audience for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the music.